Hi, welcome to Coffee Talk Tuesday. My name is Shalise Stevens, and I'm here with Trip Mitchell. He gets to sit by me today. You're so lucky.
I am really thrilled. I'm not going to be able to keep my hands off Jon this whole show.
We're going to be hugging later, spooning.
Yeah.
I get to be little spoon.
I know,
He's big spoon. It's kind of nice.
Who's our guest?
So cute. The one and only Jon Absey.
Boom.
Boom.
Come on.
Hey,
He's actually was our guest before I started.
But
this
you
with
and I
guys.
have. Jon is, for those of you who don't know, is one. Look at those elbows. That is a mascot
No, you
elbow.
get it. It is. That's
Yeah,
bad.
that's a hockey elbow. Jon was the bear for 25 years, but also one of those guys who is, everyone says it, he's one of the biggest a-hole. I mean, one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. And Jon used to do, and we're so lucky we do a show with Randall Carlisle, working for charities. That's on our summer break, but we'll be back soon. But Jon, as the bear, used to visit kids in hospitals 200 days a year. He was visiting people, has some of the most touching stories I've ever heard, and really is a great guy. And why in the hell would you be doing this show?
I the money.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding, because this is a great show. Coffee Talk Tuesday. This is amazing. I get to hang out with Shalise
Wait. You know, you'd forgotten the name. You looked down at the mug to see what it was.
I just because now you guys got to understand. I kind of got a mind like Joe Biden in a way. I was like, I'm old. No, I'm just no political talk. But I'm just saying is I forget stuff all the time. You know,
It is so reassuring to have a mug with the name of the show on it. You know, for some of us who do 8 shows a week.
I know. I do it for you. I'm like.
So let's talk about Shalise and the vodka bottle before the show.
Yes, I'm kind of concerned a little bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you don't need to be concerned. Okay, so Trip is like, do we need to have this empty bottle of vodka? And I was like, I finished it last time.
She left a drop. So our new editor, let's introduce our new editor.
Oh, come on first. This is Dylan.
So Dylan's going to be editing the show. Dylan is going to put a picture of you finishing off the vodka. And that will be our logo. Dylan, thank you so much for helping us out with the show.
And I love the Batman shirt, just so you know. Gotta love Batman.
You gotta love Batman.
Hey, man, try to be yourself, but if you have to be Batman, or if you can be Batman, be Batman.
Right.
I love that line. All right, I just saw that again on
Who would you be if you could be anyone? Have you ever thought about
person? I mean, anything or anyone?
Anyone.
Who would I be?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty vast. I mean, honestly, it's hard. I would love, because I don't think there's like one person out there that I would want to be. I think I'd want to be a few people, you know, and I know this is going crazy. So like, you know, like the Gandhi type person, you know, just
someone who's
Mother Teresa, you know, just all these people that, and
someone who is just good.
Right. Because, and I just saw this post and it just hit me, you know, because I sat there and I read it and I was like, no kidding. That's exactly the truth is, to me. And I've always said, you know, because when I talk to people, they're always just like, you know, what is success to you? And I always throw back to them, you know, I was like, well, no, what's success to you? And they're always like, well, you know, making money. And a lot of times people think success is money. But I just saw this post and it was like, you know, there's a difference between being successful and being significant. And to me, I would much rather
That was very deep, by the way.
I would much rather be significant. And that's why I'm looking at them is because I'm not money orientated. I'm not money driven. I have a really good friend who, you know.
Well, you went on vacation with.
Yeah. And he's a millions and millions of dollars.
Because you and I, we were sitting in Carl Malone Toyota on that Friday, and this was March 13th, so the day that the world came to an end.
Yep.
Actually, the day before NBA, and both of us were going on vacations with rich people.
Yep. It was. Yep.
And when you do that, money seems kind of important, but it really isn't.
Right. And I don't think, you know, he looks at it as important, but everybody has something that drives them, and money drives him. And he admits it. He wants to hit that $100 million mark again because he made it one time, and so that's what he's shooting for. And to me, I could care less, you know, about being a millionaire. It would be great, but it's not what I'm passionate about. It's not what my drive is. You know, my drive is to know that when I leave this earth that I left a footprint, and like I said
Or
before,
a paw print.
or a paw print, and to know that when I die that I got a full church. I mean, I just want to know.
Yeah, shitty parking at your funeral is a sign of a
good
life
thing.
It
well lived.
really is.
If there's no problem getting a parking spot, then maybe you probably didn't do some things right. But if
could
there's
be.
one, can you think? So as I asked you this question, I was thinking, how cool would it be to be George Clooney? And the reason I bring that up is there's someone who's universally respected by people and liked.
Yep.
And that's got to be tough when you're an actor, because let's say you're on a movie. Every movie, if you're George Clooney, every person working on the movie, let's say it's a crew of 140 people, all want to be your friend. And you're going to have to distance yourself. You can't give your... you're going to have people who think you're a dickhead.
Yep.
And so that'd be really tough.
Well, you don't have to be like that.
Well, you do, because
No,
people...
no, you don't, because I was married to an actor who did big movies with big people, and he has stories with all different kinds, from the jerks to the super cool people, that every single person was important. And Adam Sandler is actually one of them.
Well,
Super, super respectful, super awesome. Every single person that approaches him, it's like
He takes the time out to make them feel
every
special.
single person.
and you know who else is like that is Garth Brooks. When I was at the
heard
arena,
that.
I was walking down the hallway, leaving the cage after an appearance, and
Anytime they keep you in a cage before you're going out for your thing, that might be a bad sign. Just saying, but go ahead.
it correlates.
Okay.
But I was leaving, and I stopped because of the semi-truck. They were unloading these black boxes. And I'm watching people go through, and then I walked past them when they went by, and I saw a friend of mine at the arena. He's like, you know who that is? Or who just walked in front of you, don't you? And I go, no. And he goes, that was Garth Brooks. And I look back, and I see him pushing the container out onto the floor. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He goes, he does it all the time. He'll buy pizza for everybody. He helps out. He's just one of those guys that really appreciates everybody and likes to show that, he's not above them. And
He actually pushes out the wrong container every
I
time,
know.
so they have doubles the workload.
it's just one container and there's nothing in it, so it's like...
It's the Garth container.
Garth, this is yours.
There's actually a little motor in it to make it even
And
easier.
then he has somebody else load it back up, and then about 10 minutes later, he shoves that one right back up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no. But no, I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying is it would be really hard for me to say, God, I wish I was like this. Like, I have a really good friend. He just came back from the military, and his name's Ryan Kelleher, and he is one of the most cool, down-to-earth guys I've ever met, like the nicest guy. And I always, like, you know how you meet people, and you're like, God, I wish I was more like you, because he's just so easygoing.
No one's
Everybody
ever
loves
said that
him.
to me.
It's like,
That's why he
Not
wanted to
one.
be my
No.
co-host, though, because he wanted to be more like me.
Yeah,
Which
I
was
want to have
really sweet.
boobs. Yeah. I've been benching like a
never
mother.
leave the house, is what we're saying.
Yeah, my whole day would be taken. So
I'm just saying is that
Yeah.
there isn't one person that I want to be. I want to be like, because I don't really feel like I am who I am if it wasn't for all the people that have come into my life. I've taken some from you, and everybody that I meet, even Dylan, I just saw him for 5 seconds there, and
Oh, Christ, now you remembered his name.
You like
that
that?
makes us look bad.
I mean, it is kind of, you know what? I'm going to be honest. That is pretty shocking.
Because he didn't remember what show he was on.
I
He
did.
remembered Dylan's name.
But I'm just saying it's like I really feel like I'm just kind of a conglomeration of everybody that I've met and things that I really liked about them that I've kind of just put into myself. And I guess that's what's hard is I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't have flaws, that isn't perfect, or that is perfect. And to me, to say, oh, I want to be just like him, I don't know. That's just not me. So I can't. I mean, that's a hard question because there's nobody out there I want to be.
Fortunately,
other than me.
I've met your lovely wife.
Yes.
You've got great kids. Fortunately, you're married, so she can tell you who you need to be.
Trust me, she does.
Well, but on that same note, though, you said that you
Wait,
take
hold on.
pieces-
Shalice is talking. Go ahead. This is her show. Let's pretend to pay attention. Okay.
So I don't have your friends on my show. Anyway. No, because you said you take pieces of everyone and add them to you, but maybe those people that you meet, and I've always said, like, you meet people for a reason, and every encounter is significant, and maybe they just bring that part out in you that's already there,
But
and makes you better.
You have gone through something that is horrible, and you've chosen to make that affect you by doing amazing things for people.
Turn into a positive.
Yeah, so probably many people meet you and want to have much more of your goodness and inherent niceness as part of them.
Plus-
I'm not one of those.
I know, I was going to
But
say.
I think a lot of people meet you because of, the people that have gone through the same situation that you have with a death like that, and have to look at you and say, "How did you do this? How are you getting through this?" And they want to, try and have you explain the exact, tell me the roadmap for me to be able to get through this. And there really isn't a roadmap.
No, there's not. There's not a roadmap. I mean, because everybody is different. Everybody has different things. Everybody has to heal differently, and they take what they have from experiences. I mean, I've been talking about this a lot. Like, my life has never been easy. Like, it's been one trial after another, and that
Married
was like
to an actor.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah. He's been a guest on the show. Very nice guy.
He is. But well, you met him at the fundraiser.
I did. He's a nice guy. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not as nice as some of my ex-husbands, but
he was really nice to me. I can't say anything bad.
yeah,
How many ex-husbands do you have, Tripp?
just a couple. But
Okay.
we're not going to get into that.
But anyway, I mean, I always say that, like, I hope to inspire people and just help them, give them hope that, they have qualities and they have things. That's why I love this show too, that I bring in people who have awesome stories, which you have a very awesome story, and I love the journey that you've been on and helping people and inspiring people. And
So John has two amazing stories. Should we do the heartfelt one before the break or the funny one?
we can do...
I still don't know which one he's talking about.
I'll tell you.
I'll fill you in.
Which one do you
Oh,
want?
wait a minute. Is this...
Let's do the funny one, and then we'll come
Okay.
back with the heartfelt one.
The girl in the miniskirt. Go ahead.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's my favorite story. This is a great story.
I'd rather talk about me pooping myself at a game.
No.
Wait a minute. Yeah, let's do that one.
No. Bear poop. If a bear doesn't know,
It was
to
food
crap-
poison. Me and my sister got food poisoned in Sioux
No.
Falls, South
If a
Dakota.
bear doesn't know where to shit in the woods, then we don't want him. Go ahead, tell the story about the miniskirt.
No, it was okay. So it's okay. So we're doing the game, and somebody comes back, and this guy walked in with this girl, and I just remember she was scantily dressed, and somebody came back and said, to walk by. Right, and it was section 19, I think, and they were about 5 rows up, and they said, walk by and just look to your right, and you'll understand. And so she's wearing a skirt, but she had her feet up on the chair,
She looked like she was in the gynecologist's office. Yeah.
So, it was just... So
she was a classy woman.
And then they were, like, making out. So it was just kind of this really odd, awkward, like, what are you guys doing? So
Did
anyway...
you get a room?
Yeah. So I just wanted to, make fun of it, so...
This is John as the bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just
I kind of went out there myself, and I was like, this is going to be great. So I just thought I'd make fun of it a little bit. And it was more of an inside joke for all of us because we had seen all this, and we were just like, oh, my God, go do it somewhere private. But, they're sitting there making out. Anyway, I go out there, and I have a little Polaroid, and I take some pictures, and I hold them up, and I'm holding up $2, and I'm selling them to the crowd, So, couple guys came down and gave me money. And I gave them the pictures, and then this big meathead for a guy comes out and he snaps my Polaroid. And unless you guys have looked at trying to buy a Polaroid online, they're pretty hard to find nowadays. So I was a little pissed. So anyway, then I was like, all right, if this is how you want to play, this is how we're going to play. I'd have been one and done. I'd have done that, and I'd have moved on, not done a damn thing. But now he broke my prop, so I was pissed. So anyway, I went in the back, and I had this other camera, and it came on a stand, and it rotated like this, and had a little red light that flashed, so it looked like this video camera. And I had this little TV in the back, and I walked it out, and I'm standing next to the ushers and the refs, and I'm pointing at the TV and pointing over at the girl. And they're looking, they're like, oh, yeah, right there. So he, and granted, it was fake, but he walked over and snapped my little fake
Now, were the
camera.
fans having fun?
Yeah, everybody knew what was going on because everybody, in the time that they were coming through, could see this lady and this guy. So everybody knew. So then I was like, all right. So I go in the back, and
You're running out of props.
Yeah. So I was, so I had done some more stuff, and then I came out with binoculars. My shirt was full of them, and I was handing out binoculars to everybody on the floor and stuff, all the refs and the ushers and stuff, and all of us are sitting there, staring at her like this. And then I just remember Claude. I love him. He was amazing, and he was one of the security guards. And this kind of meathead guy stands up, and I'm in my head, and I go, Claude, you got him if he comes out, rushes the floor, and he's like, oh, I got him. And I was like, thank you, because I was just like, holy crap. So we're doing that, and then I came out, and I had these huge binoculars with eyes, and so we were doing that all night long, because I was just like, you jack, because he broke my props. But then I was coming down the stairs, and he put his foot out and tripped me, and I remember I fell, and I remember I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said something. I kind of blew him off, like, whatever. So then I walked off the floor, and I went back, because in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm getting another prop. So I was looking like, what can I mess with him with on this one? And I find something, and I turn, and all of a sudden he's standing there, and he was just like, hey, why are you such an asshole? And he punches me, uppercuts me, and hits me in the head, which was awesome, because, my head, it was like,
yeah, exactly.
That's about what it felt like. So I was just like, but I was more shocked that, did he just hit me up? You know what I mean? Like, this big...
He's beating up a bear.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it was just chaos. All my bear crew, all the people in the corner come running over, and they're trying to pull us apart. And I've always been really good. I can only think of 3 times that I've ever popped out a character, And that was one of them. And I remember swinging and swearing at them, and, expletives coming out of my mouth, and they're trying to break us up, and they finally break us up. And then I'm trying to catch my breath, and I've been swearing and fighting, and I looked over, and it's along the wall are all these children in costumes, because it was Halloween, the night before Halloween, and it was the Halloween costume contest out at halftime. And I looked over, and I'm like, oh my hell, what did I just do? It was like, because I just had this tirade of swear words, and all of a sudden I see all these kids just with their eyes open, just like, that bear has a bad mouth. But hopefully they didn't even know it was coming from me, because my mouth wasn't moving. So.
Yeah, it came from this guy.
That's why they didn't let him talk anymore after that.
Hey, do we have something we want to do?
Yeah, we're going to go to break now. And when we come back, we're going to hear the heartfelt story that is super cool. So we'll be right back.
In summer 2004, as a 4-year-old, Caleb's body emerged from an overcrowded water park's pool in Utah. Every mother's worst nightmare became reality for Shalise Stevens. Would healing ever begin? Without an answer, she experienced truths about deep loss and grief's throttle. By age 40, she awakened to joy and motherhood. Finding 40, available on Amazon and wherever digital copies are sold.
Welcome back to Coffee Talk Tuesday. I'm Shalise Stevens, here with Trip Mitchell and our awesome guest, Jon Absey.
Come on, you can say it. Say lovely.
I was going to say it, but he always makes fun of me.
Well, you use the same thing every time. God.
Oh, that wasn't just for me. Okay, change it up. I don't want something that everybody...
Yeah,
I said
everybody.
awesome. I said
Okay.
awesome.
And who is out here?
Dylan, our editor.
Okay. Dylan is working on the show. Thank you, Dylan, for being part of it. So,
And he's wearing a Batman shirt, which is really cool. I like superheroes.
So your heartfelt story, and I've heard this before, and it tugs at your heartstrings, and sometimes you are doing amazing good in the world, but you run into families at the worst possible time.
Yep.
So the young man out in west of here, out in Twilla.
Yep.
Yep.
No, I've been so blessed, so fortunate to be able to make moments for children, to take their minds off of the things that they're going through, along with the parents and their families. But it's really hard unless you see it and you're there, because everybody's involved with their own lives and they're doing their own thing. But that's why I always say, because I'm always like, I don't feel good, or this is happening, or I spilled coffee. But it could always be worse. Everybody, you've heard that before. And it's true, is just when you think, God, I've left something like up at primaries, and I'm like, God, that's horrible, and then a couple days later I'll do something else, and I'm like, that's even worse. There's just always something. But I remember I got called to go out and see a little 10-year-old boy, and I had no idea what I was walking into or what was going on. And when I showed up, it was kind of weird because I walked in, it was really quiet, and I see him laying on a...
So you go in full costume.
Yep.
Do you have someone with you?
Yep, my assistant Luke.
Who talks for
Talks, yep. He's my voice. And I walk in and I see him sitting on or laying in a cot on the floor, or in the living room, I mean. And then I see the parents, and I'm just kind of looking around like, what is going on? Because the parents were looking at me, kind of like with anticipation, like do something, but not like do something cool, but almost like that, do something. And,
like a healer.
Yeah, but it floored me, and I looked at Luke and I go, what is going on? And then he went and talked to him, and then come to find out, this little boy was dying, and he only had a little bit of time left. And in my head, I'm just like, why do you want me here? Out of all the things, you only got a little bit of time left, and you guys wanted me to come. But that was one of the other times that I came out of character, and I sat and I talked to the parents, and I sat and talked to him and got to know him. And I just remember, thinking in my head that these parents, and as a parent myself, and how I would handle something like this. The fact that you're sitting there watching your son pass, and there's nothing you can do. As a father, I've always looked at my daughters as, you take a bullet for them, you fight to the death for them, and if there's something wrong, you're going to fight to fix it. But this is something you can't fix. You're so out of your control. And so I remember I hung out with them for about an hour, and I, sat and talked with them, talked to the parents, hugged them all, and told them to keep me up to date on what's going on. I went out to the van, and I remember I cried almost, halfway back into Salt Lake, and it just affected me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then when I was done with work, I went out and I watched my daughter's soccer game, and I just remember standing there, and there was a line of chairs with all of the parents. And I walked up, and I was just watching the field, and I was watching my daughter Lexi run and play soccer, and I remember just going, oh my hell, how fortunate is this? My daughter's healthy, she's out there playing, and I just left somebody that would, give anything. Every dollar they have, their right arm, I guarantee it, to have their son out here playing and being healthy. And when I was standing there, I just remember all the parents yelling and screaming, and they were bitching about the coach, bitching about the refs, bitching about their kids, going on and on and on. And I lost it. And I remember I blew up. And I remember just saying, basically, there was a lot of expletives that came out of my mouth. But
we've seen a trend here.
Yeah. So I just said, as I was just like, listen, I said, in a very loud shouting voice, but I was just like, I just left a 10-year-old boy that's dying. And I said, their parents would love to be able to watch their kids playing. And I said, you guys need to be fortunate, or remember how fortunate you are that your children are out there playing and they're healthy. And I said, but you guys are going to sit here and bitch about everything that's going on. I said, just watch them and enjoy the fact that you're here and not there, watching your child die. But I remember that, I love the fact that they didn't say a word for the rest of the game.
Did they know you were the bear?
I don't know.
Because you kept that very low
secret,
key.
Yeah, very secretive.
Yeah.
So.
And then the young man passed very soon after that.
He did, yep. And then I got a call, and he passed like hours later. So, and it was just.
So what did you talk about?
Believe it or not, I didn't. I just talked about like we normally would, and I actually kind of made it seem like, and whether it was good or bad, but kind of like hey, what are your plans for the summer? And I know that sounds weird, but I didn't. I was like, trying to.
No human being could ever be prepared for a conversation like that, especially since you walked in.
Totally, and
you thought you were seeing a kid that might have cancer, but there's a good outlook ahead,
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you find out that, God.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the coolest thing. Like, I mean, with doing what I do for my nonprofit and working with the Heart Kids and everything, I mean, when they get people coming in, mascots, all that stuff, like, that is the highlight of their day just because it's a special thing. And so, I mean, having the memory that you made wasn't necessarily for that kid, it was for his family. And they're always going to remember that. And that's what's so cool. And so.
Yeah. Well, I was really, shocked, and I'm still shocked to this day that people wanted me to be at some of those events. You know what I mean? Because I never really looked at myself as anything other than, it was just, I put on a costume and I was kind of a, clown.
We've got family friends, and Shawnee just turned 30. And one of her favorite memories is you coming down and just doing a funny little bit with her for a minute at a Jazz game when she was 7 or 8 years old.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and Mascots have taken off, and you and I are doing a show about Mascots that we're very excited about, and in doing some research for it, I've seen some of the bits they do, and they have become the minstrels of this age, where they are the mass communicators of comedy. And Mascots really, just in the last 25 years, have changed demonstrably. And you're part of that. You were one of the guys who could do the athleticism, but also the comedy.
You know, because there's three types of characters out there. You got your fat, funny characters, Then you have characters that are strictly just athletic, just the lycra and they dunk and tumble. And then I was fortunate to meet the Phoenix Gorilla, who is actually the pioneer who kicked open that door of a athletic, funny character. And, so, I mean, it's interesting because when I came in, the San Diego Chicken was one of the first mascots that kind of opened up the whole industry for us. Then it was the Gorilla.
God, he had some great bits.
He was funny. And do you know Ted? You know
I don't.
Ted. Oh.
No, I've never met him.
Great guy. Then there was, I almost said his name. Then there was Phoenix Gorilla. And he opened up the door for everybody now. You know what I mean?
The dunking.
The dunking, athleticism, the dancing. And for the fact that all of a sudden we got our own timeouts on the floor. It's unheard of. Like back in the day, we were just part in the crowd. We might be on the court during a timeout and just be part of it. But for them to say, okay, instead of us selling this for a sponsorship, you get the whole timeout and fill it with entertainment. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So he's the one who kind
part
of
the fan experience.
Yeah. So he was the one that kicked that open. But I was there when it was starting out, and we made a huge climb. And then now I see kind of this decline in mascotting, because what happened in my heart, and when I talked to some of the other people, is the not as much the owners, but the management. Managers change, and everybody says, you're always one manager change away from being let go and stuff. But I see this management come into some of these teams, and what they don't like is the popularity of the character and everybody watching the character instead of the game. And does that make sense? And back in the day, there was NBA E, which was NBA Entertainment, and they got rid of that. I mean, that's when it was big, NBA Entertainment. It was all about entertainment. They wanted people to come into the games. The people who wanted to watch the game, that was going on, but mom and the kids could see the mascot and the dancers and, all these different types of acts. And they slowly kind of got rid of that. And they did not like that the mascots were popular. And they wanted everybody to focus on the players on the team.
So the old line, the Boston Celtics, and I was a season ticket holder there, and they had nothing. They didn't have anything. Their focus was just on the game. Yep. And literally they wouldn't do anything at halftime. I mean, they literally were kind of old. And as John was saying, things changed, and the entertainment dollar is much tougher to get. And if you can have your kids go to a game and be happy and see something that, it doesn't matter how you get that great feeling in your stomach when you leave, but you've got it.
Right.
And so I think the management is short-sighted if they don't see that.
Very short-sighted. And
because your home team's going to lose.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is just that, like with Boston, because they have a mascot now and they actually got a dance team, is
Red Auerbach passed away.
That's true. But I mean, if you look at it as if, when you're sitting there with your kids, you're like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? And if going to a basketball game is something you want to do, but they don't want to do, you default to what they want to do,
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I think, with mascots and all the other entertainment that's out there, when the kids want to go, then it's easy for the whole family to go.
Tell us about Mascot Miracles.
Mascot Miracles is so his name is Rich. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can say his name. Rich Ellis. And he came to me a number of years ago and told me about this idea he had about starting a charity called Mascot Miracles. And what it was basically when it first started was to help children with disabilities and to try and make moments for them. And I remember I tried to help them out as much as I could, but they started growing so fast that I couldn't keep up with, because I was doing 250, 300 appearances a year, plus all of his events. So I finally was just like, listen, I can only do some of the bigger ones. Otherwise, I'll never be home. And he took this charity and drove it to make it, the size that it is now. They have over 1,000 families in their database, and what they're really shooting for, their whole goal is to create a disability park, or an all abilities park, I guess is what it would be called. But it would be so that kids can go and do what a normal kid do, like get in a swing, and it's made for children in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And his vision has been big, and I remember, sometimes, like when I first heard it, I was like, that's a big vision. But he's a dreamer, and he is 100% driven to get that done, and I think he's that close to getting it done.
That's awesome.
So hats off to him. And Mascot Miracles helps out so many children with disabilities of all types. I remember I was doing their rodeo. They have this rodeo, the stick horse rodeo. And I was out at, I don't remember where. It was out Eagle Mountain. And we were sitting out at the rodeo grounds, and I remember they were announcing all the children to come out that were going to participate. And they had rodeo queens with them. And when they were announcing some of the things that these children had, half of them I've never heard of. And a couple of them, literally, because they were so rare, they were just numbers. Mm-hmm. It blew me away. And I remember I looked over, and I walked over, and I was talking to Rich, and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. He goes, some of them are so rare that they don't even have a name for it. They're trying to figure out basically what it is. So, really great organization, and and I just love the fact that they continue to push forward to make moments for these children and their families, because just like anything, when you have a child that has a disability, if it's autism or whatever, and if your child acts out, or has a episode or something, in the regular public, sometimes they kind of look at you goofy, you know what I mean? And then it's awkward. And when you have these moments or these events that Rich does, and they all come together, well, we understand. We're like-minded, let alone if, we're at an event and all three of us have a child with kind of the same thing. We can sit and say, hey, what do you do when this happens? And what do you do when that happens? And that's what's so cool. So, I mean... Well,
that's exactly what I do with mine. Obviously, I do it on a much smaller scale, but, I mean, Mascot Miracles have stepped up a couple of different times and helped me create those memories for my kids. But that's exactly why I do what I do with Rainy Days as well. And Jon showed up to my event. It was fun, and carried the flag for the first little bit, and then, you know what, I got to carry the flag after that, and my shoulders were so sore because I was holding that. I was like, man,
I need a muscular bear. So real quick, before we go, working for charities, that's something that you were doing with your partner, and an amazing organization as well.
We started working for charities a little over a year ago, and we weren't expecting COVID to hit. So, but we, because our whole thing is to try and network with people. And over the years when I was mascotting, the thing that I saw were a lot of these newer charities and smaller charities would come in, and they would last about 2-3 years, and then they would just go away, and they folded. And a lot of it was because sometimes they didn't know how to run the 501c3, they didn't have volunteers, they didn't know how to do an event. They just weren't as educated as they should be, and it's hard because sometimes in the charity world, everybody is kind of like MySpace, don't ask, don't help. And what we're trying to do is pull everybody together. Like, in our last networking meeting, we try to pull in people that are donors, people that have businesses that
great
are willing
event
to help.
At the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and just fantastic. And I had a great time that night. That was fun.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. And it's just, so we're just trying to connect everybody. And because my whole goal is, it's hard for me to pick a charity, because to me, charity work isn't just about working with one charity. It's about working with any charity that needs help. And I mean, I guess that's my whole goal, is to try and help everybody else.
Well, and everybody needs help. There's more people that need help out there. There's people willing to help. So, and that's how Jon and I got connected at the beginning, is because my friend Minda, who works for the kids, she's like, come in, and she kind of took me under her wing, and then Jon took me under his wing, and now look at me.
Well, bears don't have wings.
He wasn't a bear the night I met him.
Oh, well you were in a good mood.
That was a crow.
He was a crow.
No. But you know, the thing is, too, is I just wish people would understand that, you know, a lot of times, you know, they're like, you know, hey, I want to donate some money, or you have these businesses, they want to donate money, and they just kind of do the easy thing. It's like, you know, United Way, this or that. You know, they hear the name,
sure,
and it's a big foundation or a big charity, and then they just give it to that. To where, if you really do just a little research, you can find so many smaller charities that help the children in your community, and you can see the money actually working for them.
Do you know
so your partner Andy Chudd,
Yep,
great guy, and sees that vision. But and you know, because you run a small foundation, when you give money to the American Cancer Society, the Heart, whatever, a lot of that they've got nice buildings they lease. Mm-hmm. The charities that you work with work out of their homes. So Angel's Hands, Mark Christensen and his family.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
yeah. Literally, all the money goes to the kids. 2% of the money goes for insurance for the events, but 98%. You know, and these are in many cases some of the best people in the world who just do what they can.
I love
amazing. I love
that
charity. That's a good charity.
So actually, Tito's Vodka. I met the guy that runs during my other charity event. He found out about me, and Tito's Vodka is actually doing the rainy days for 2 months.
That's awesome.
They do the smaller foundations, and so
really?
I get for each month that they run my campaign. Basically, I get, of course, everything or Rainy Days gets everything that's donated, and then they give us $500 on top of that for every month, and they do it twice a year.
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
And product too.
Yeah. Only when he came in to meet me. Okay.
Well, no, something else that needs to be said is so that people know is that
I'm really not an alcoholic.
No,
You're starting to sound like it.
I'm starting to.
Shalisa, it's so funny. I asked her the other day what time it was, and her watch is always set at 5 o'clock. Now I know why.
Throwing out shots. But no, I was going to say, and you guys can confirm this, is that a lot of people think that, you know, for every dollar they give, the charity, it goes to the kids. That, oh, look, I gave $100 and it's going to go to these kids. And it's not the case. You know, in the bigger charities, I mean, you literally could look at, 60 cents just going, and everything else is going to,
overhead,
administrative costs. But with, like, your charity and all these other small charities, you're looking at 99 cents on the dollar. So, I mean, you're getting way more bang for the buck. Plus, that money stays local, and it could be helping your neighbor, or it literally could be helping your nephew, cousin, whatever. Yeah.
So we have an invitation. If you've got a charity and you'd love to be profiled, reach out to Shalise, and we'll get you in touch with Jon's group, which is Working for Charities. And we've got a show, again, that's going to be starting up in September.
Yep.
With Randall and Jon and I, and we'll get a chance to profile you either on that show or on Coffee Talk Tuesday. But it's the little guys, it's the parents who have a vision, or a brother or sister, or someone that really cares, and those are the best stories, and we love doing that.
I mean, look at the stories that we were dealing with the shows that we were doing.
Oh, God, they're just tearjerkers.
Crying, yeah. I mean, some of the things, and I think it's awesome when you really look into why these charities were started, and you find the backstory. They're amazing.
Just the best stories in the world.
They really are.
Or by the best. The worst stories that, in some cases, when you hear so much good can be done from something so tragic.
Exactly.
And Jon, you were an amazing guest.
No, well, thank you guys. Hey, seriously, I just love you guys for always thinking of me to come on, and thank you for bringing me on again, and thank you for being my friend and helping me out with all this stuff and teaching me how to be a host, because you had me do one on my own one day, and I was not good, but but he was coaching. He was coaching.
Well, I love the story of the meathead and the miniskirt woman. Yeah.
Of course you do.
No, but.
Well, it's just me to talk about the miniskirt girl again.
No, but just the narcissistic some people have, that they have to be the center of attention. And, to go to a game and just, we're going to be the center. Forget the players on the court. This is all about us. And that is a great story. And your story about heading out to Twilla and a young man going through the worst day of his life, and you made it a lot better. And
I hope. But he touched my heart, that's for sure.
All right. Well, and you're keeping his memory alive, so
There you go.
it's special. All right. Well, thank you, John.
No, thank you guys.
Thank you, Trip. And we'll see you guys next week.